Hey everyone, so I wanted to read more of your comments for the mental health TikTok series. Unfortunately, halfway through screenshotting the comments for part 5 and 6, I got a little bit mixed up, and then I also took a break from it after already screen capping them. So I think I split the ones from part 5 and part 6 properly, but some of them might be mixed up and I may have missed some of the ones that I wanted to read. But I screenshot them so long ago that, Anyway, I tried my best. So moving on from that, I'm just going to get right into reading these. And I believe the ones I'm reading right now are mostly just like annoyances that they had with Gabby in general, or that type of content. It says, I got so annoyed when she judged how to present a mental issue. Mental health is painful and some people use humor to get by. I see it as a coping mechanism. Another awesome video. Thanks for being such a wonderful voice about this issue. Thank you too. I really appreciate what you had to say, and yeah, makes a lot of sense why you feel that way. I see that this will get a conversation started. It looks like using mental health one-upmanship as if their condition trumps all is damaging. The people who work in the field have the right to speak on how it is and not what some entitled privileged YouTuber thinks. Part 2 ought to be interesting. Thanks for actually helping us in healthcare, Kurena. We need you. Yeah, and a few people say this in the comment section, and I want to specify for people who are hard of hearing or whatever, or they misinterpret easily, that everybody has the right to say what they think about mental health because you have freedom of speech or whatever. But the fact is, why is your word being taken as gold when you're just shit talking with no evidence for what you have to say? You should probably take the word of the professionals over the YouTube commentators who specifically state that they're not professionals. And when you listen to the professionals, for the most part, they're saying that these type of reaction videos are not helpful or that they're not accurate and all this stuff, but people ignore that and listen to them anyway. So if you are somebody who's not a professional and you don't have any evidence or information to back up what you're saying, actual information, unlike Gabby, because her sources were shit in the sense where she didn't listen to her sources. We'll get into that some other time. But, if you don't have substantial evidence for what you're claiming in your video, then people shouldn't be listening to you. That's what you guys are saying. This girl just ignored what her therapist told her, but expects us to listen to her when she says, see a licensed therapist, while ignoring her therapist? What the fuck is that? What is the purpose of saying someone does not have a medical condition other than thinking she is better than others? If we are to consider content creators as people who are trying to help, but shit on medical professionals and their patients, can we classify them as potentially sociopathic, Machiavellian, or narcissistic? She can say what people don't have, so I'd be apt to say what she does have, right? I'd be irresponsible if I did that. Just as irresponsible as the video this person made in ill taste. I am fuming. I can't even find the words to express how upset I am over how she is making a mockery of our jobs. It's a bunch of trend culture bullshit. Yeah, you guys are right. I am really looking forward to what a response will be because people like Gabby don't care. I heard she has money and pays for her views anyway because she had a sus rise to power. Can't stand her smirk. Keep it Kurena. I've heard a few people talk about that, saying that the way, because what it seems like, and I could be wrong, but the video that I responded to, in the comments, her commenters were saying that she actually had 5K subs at the time. And in her video, her own video, if you look at the part where she says, I have sources, she has 3,000 subs or something when she made it. So it seems like, from what I was reading, that that's actually the video that she went viral on because she got millions of views or whatever. And that started her channel, that whack ass uninformative video. So yeah, it is kind of suspicious because I can't believe that bullshit video got millions of views. But it's all just speculation. I don't actually know. It's hard to prove those kind of things. You said when you have money, doing crap to people is easy because you can just buy things to make yourself feel better. It says if Gabby was ugly and not deemed as attractive, she wouldn't even have the views. She's just playing that cute but innocent, all while being a troll supported by trolls. Exactly. Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, I will say with the kawaii face bullshit though, her YouTube profile picture is literally her like doing some weird kawaii fishy face. So I would say she definitely leans into the fact that she's considered kawaii. I don't really see her as kawaii, but like whatever, I'm not the average person. So she definitely leans into that and uses that to her advantage, and it's obnoxious because she's just shitting on other people the whole time. And you could have been talking about, the other comment could have been talking about the smirk that I put in my thumbnail. I don't know which one, but the point is people have come to like being annoyed by her like smiles and stuff like that. So I think she leans into it though. He said, it's about time somebody talking about this B. We can't stand her. Did you see that Wonderstruck made a video about victims of YouTube? Do you think the platform will actually talk about real victims of stalking and crimes or just clout chase? I think he did a so-so job, in my opinion. It was half-based and tired of supporting creators that ride the fence for clicks. The video that I think you're talking about is, I forget what it was exactly about, of some sort of like crime video or something. And people were complaining in his comment sections. Like, people were getting mad at him over the excessive censorship in the video. And people were talking, pretty much saying the same thing as you saying, is like saying it was half-based and saying that it was an okay video. And yeah, it just, what people are looking for on YouTube when people make the kind of videos that he made is for there to actually be some sort of passion behind it, or, you know, a personal stake. If you know what I mean. Like, you have to be doing this for a reason, not just because you think it'll be a good video. And if you don't convey that in your video, it's gonna start pissing people off because they're sick of the people on YouTube who just make content about other people's problems to get views and clicks, but you don't make their lives any better. It feels very empty and forced and, yeah, like soulless. So it's like, it could easily be interpreted as a clout chase because of that, especially when you make videos where you've spoken on your own issue. And that's the big thing a lot of these YouTubers either don't understand or some of them don't care about. It depends on the YouTuber. But if you have made videos about your own hard times and you have all this passion and this emotion, I'm not talking about like crying or anything. I'm talking about when you're delivering the facts, there's this level of concern that you have in your voice, or passion or attachment or whatever word you want to use. That's missing when they do these other videos that have nothing to do with them. So it comes across as if you don't care about the people in your videos. And I understand that you're going to be more passionate when something personally affects you, but to go from having any sort of passion to none rubs people the wrong way, and for good reason, because it's still something important that's happening and you want people to be concerned. Well, if you talk like you're putting yourself to sleep, why is anyone else going to be concerned for the content of your video either? Like, it doesn't make sense. So you have to come with that energy. And it makes people wonder, do you even care, or are you just doing this for the views? You know, you're an influencer. It's your job to influence people. So you have to think about how your presentation is going to influence the viewers. And if you think that that's not fair, then don't make that kind of content, is how I feel. So that being said, I do think that he definitely could have did a better job on that video. And I understand why a lot of people were upset with it, because it does not meet the standard that it should meet. If it's really an important issue to you, then talk like it's important. That's all people are asking for. It's really not, people aren't asking for a lot. I don't think that YouTubers are going to start talking about important issues. I think that if they did, it would be because it's a clout chase, because we're talking about the average YouTuber. I don't think that the average YouTuber is going to start having all these important conversations and stuff unless it was trendy, and then they're going to talk about it in an empty way, because you got to remember, most of these YouTubers are pumping out like 2 to 4 videos a week. You literally don't have time to talk about issues with a lot of concern and care if you're just pumping out topics. I have to review my videos several times before I put them up to make sure that what I'm saying makes sense, unless it's something like this where I'm just like reading a comment and giving my opinion. But when I'm actually criticizing someone, I gotta review it over and over again. I wouldn't have time to do that if I was pumping out 4 videos a week. So no, I don't think they're going to do that. But the long story short is, whoever you are, once you've seen how someone can speak on their own issues, it sets a standard of how they should cover someone else's. And I think some YouTubers don't realize that, and other YouTubers just straight up don't care. Again, depends on the YouTuber. Moving on from that, you said, I don't understand why this girl is showing what other people say about their conditions. It's none of her business and no one asked her. She is a clout chasing bully. You said, exactly. How do I know she won't attack me for just saying my experience with mental health? I don't get why that bothers so many of these content creators. I mean, again, she was basically saying that the people doing this wanted clout, like, or social currency, as she put it. And you said, I am pretty certain children are the target in far too many instances. Sad, because she's being selfish and judgmental of others and thinks it's somehow a good look. She thinks it's a good look because a lot of people on YouTube like to pick on other people. Like, there's like a culture on YouTube, especially in the commentary sphere, where it's like, yeah, survival of the fittest, and the edgiest person may win. That's why iDubbbz was the king of commentary for so long at one point, because he was literally the epitome of that shit. And I was saying that it's funny how in the video she says it's none of her business with Dissociated did, I think, but then makes it her business with everyone else in the video. It's like the only reason why you said it's none of your business with Dissociated did is because you were gonna talk shit, and as you said in your own video, one of your viewers informed you that she wasn't faking dissociative identity disorder. And so all of a sudden it's none of your business. It's none of your business regardless. It's none of your business regardless because you don't know if they're faking or not. And since you don't know, then shut the fuck up about it. Or be careful if you're going to say something. And I was telling people that it's because they don't like seeing people be authentic. And the reason why they don't like seeing people be authentic is that these same YouTubers have to fake it and clout chase. That's how they got so big in the first place. They're putting on a show to appease the masses. So then they see some of those characteristics in the people that they're criticizing because they're projecting, and they end up accusing authentic people of doing the same and associate them with fakers and scammers. When those are completely different things, by the way. Faking and misdiagnosing yourself are two completely different things, and the vast majority of people who don't have the disorder they're claiming to have are misdiagnosing themselves. They're not faking. Only a few people are faking. And then even with that, you can have some people who are faking out of desperation, whereas other people are faking for money. That's a whole nuanced subject as well. But the vast majority are just misdiagnosed who don't have those disorders. And the vast majority of people who are claiming to have a disorder do have that disorder or something similar. So it's a wild misconception that they're floating around the internet. I'm surprised they're even allowed to do it. It says, I hate fake disorder TikTok non-doctor people. She is causing harm from doing this, and many in our group chat of DID and DID suspecting people join together to get help. Keep it Kurena. DID suspecting? Are you a medical professional? Because we use these terms to monitor suspected conditions. It is becoming more widespread, and happy you bring this up. Glad to hear you support those that do not have a definitive diagnosis but may suspect they do. That's amazing. And yeah, it's a good thing. Like, if you suspect that you have it, it's for a reason, Like, what I hate is that in her video, she was portraying that people think that they daydream, and that's why they think they have DID. And I legitimately think she saw like one comment, because I've never seen anyone say that shit on TikTok before. I think that she saw a comment and she's like, oh my God, what? And it's just like, people with DID thought that they were just daydreaming before they realized they had DID, right? Like, I've seen some videos from people with DID where they talk about the reason why they didn't know they had it for so long is because some of the descriptions that normal people give of normal everyday life, they would misinterpret their own symptoms as that. So people say, oh yeah, that voice in my head. They're like, oh, I got a voice in my head too. It's like, that's not the voice in my head that normal people are talking about. Normal people are just saying like their conscience or whatever, or a memory. But someone with DID is literally having a person talk to them in their head. So that symptom of normalcy is now being associated with their own actual disorder. So the same can happen vice versa, where you can give a description of a disorder and it can be misinterpreted by someone who has a separate symptom for a disorder that's not that, but it's still a symptom of something. And if you don't allow people the space to have these questions and conversations, then you're not going to get to the root cause of the problem. A lot of traumatized people dissociate, and again, DID comes from PTSD for the most part. So you could have some other severe traumatic disorder and not have DID. And you're not going to learn those things if not given a space to talk about it. That's why these spaces are important. So thank you for creating one for DID suspecting people. This says, I did not see the trend on TikTok, and at 3:57 of the video when she said she was a survivor of depression, all while judging people who might be depressed for clout, while she virtue signals her own victimhood of depression. Hell no. Exactly. Like it annoyed the fuck out of me that she said, I'm a survivor of depression. It's not, you don't even need to bring it up. The only reason why you would bring it up by your own standards is for social currency. Because it's over. Why are you bringing it up? What does that have to do? You think that gives you more of a perspective on completely different disorders than the one you quote unquote survived? Like, and there's so many people who can't survive depression. They just have to deal with it for the rest of their life. It's like mental illness grandstanding or some shit. Like, what was the point of saying it? I just feel like she thinks that it gave her more credit for her perspective, which it does not. If anything, it gives you less credit because now you're not struggling with anything. So how can you relate? You know, anyway, it was so stupid. If someone else had said that they have depression, she would have attacked them. But we're supposed to be okay with her saying she survived it? It doesn't make any sense. You said this video was triggering. It is difficult suffering from a mental health condition and having someone be so damn entitled to everyone else's feelings on their experience. I mean, exactly. Like, she felt like she was entitled to speak on it. And this is just a mentality because she didn't even have the subs at the time. She had like 3K subs, so she did feel entitled. It annoys me, so I have the right to judge you. I don't have any evidence, but I'm just gonna talk shit. It's like, okay. Says, the air quotes to me make me mad as fuck. The music was annoying and I got a headache from her entire. I swear to God, like that like piano music is like traumatized in my brain. Like every single time I hear it, I get mad because I had to watch the video so many times. And when I initially recorded it, mind you, in this series, I watched like 10 videos back to back. So when I got to Gabby, that was literally like the 5th video in a row that I watched. And I was just so fucking exhausted, man. I have decided to split up the videos. Like I still have about, I think, 3 more that I initially recorded a year ago or whatever, but they're going to be for later in the series. I guess it's kind of like seasons, like every 10 episodes is like a season or something. And I have other videos that I want to put out for this season. So the other 3 that I watched a year ago will be later. But yeah, I was just so fucking exhausted that I was so angry watching it, and then having to rewatch it just made me angrier. So when I hear that piano music, I also, because I watched it so much, can picture her talking at certain parts of the song, because at certain parts of the song she said certain things. So when I hear that music, then I hear her voice, and it's fucking obnoxious. I can't stand it. So that music was fucking traumatizing, but it's because of her. It says she said she, quote, genuinely thought I was going to die. So why the fuck is it different when other people think they have something? I mean, like, seriously, it blew my mind. I genuinely thought I was going to die. Well, they genuinely think that they have dissociative identity disorder. Well, how can they think that if they don't have it? Because they're misunderstood. They're misunderstanding it, and it could be something else. You're not a fucking psychologist. Like, you don't understand. And the fucking professionals have already explained that if you're bipolar, if you have schizophrenia, if you have PTSD, if you have OSDD, if you have some sort of manic episode, some sort of hallucinatory mental disorder, you can believe that you have DID. You can have a bunch of other disorders too, where you could believe you have DID and you don't. But those are legitimate disorders that can cause people to think they have DID, and you can get misdiagnosed with those disorders when you actually have DID. So that's what the professionals have said, and she's just like, well, I believed I was gonna die, but there's no way that they believe that they actually have these disorders. Like, what? Even though her whole video was about, oh, when you present symptoms in this way, you convince people who are just daydreaming that they have dissociation disorder. So they do believe it when you say that they do, and they don't when you say that they don't? Doesn't make sense. I had to answer the phone. I don't know where I left off, but I'm just going to continue reading. Yes, the back in my day syndrome, and the ugly dude looks like he has never been outside. Wait, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Caleb? Oh yeah, because he said that we used to go outside and play with guns, but you said he looks like he's never been outside. Says, why doesn't he go outside and get his old ass off the platform? What's crazy to me is that they're grown adults. Like, I think I said it in the Caleb video, Oompaville, that I said, you're like, we weren't doing this when I was a kid. And I'm like, adults weren't bullying kids when they were fucking younger, when they were your age. your fucking grandparents weren't picking on kids. Especially mentally ill kids. Like, they had shit to do. Said no adult is looking at Oompaville or Gabby to think they are the word on faking in mental health. They are talking to kid audiences that do not know better, all while slamming the kids that watch them that may be suffering. Yep, it's a breeding ground for students. My local area just came out with a huge cyberstalking investigation, and schools and adults like Gabby and Oompaville create chaos and mental health shame and attacks. Parents were upset. Kids were getting their phones taken until they realized what was going on until it was too late. And you show the link here. I'll try to like insert the website into the video if I can remember. So yeah, thank you for the information. But yeah, these YouTubers are a large contributor to the mental health crisis with the youth and cyberstalking because they are the influencers. And since they are saying all the reasons why these kids are terrible, because they're calling them fakers and scammers, is then like they kind of give the go-ahead to the cyberstalkers to stalk these people. Like, whether they consciously realize it or not, some of them I do believe that they realize it, but they justify it, and others don't know any better. Regardless, their content is basically saying, hey, trolls and sociopaths online, you want to cyberstalk someone? Here's a list of people who I deem worthy of doing that because look at how cringy they are. Like, that's basically what you're doing. It's fucking crazy. Because they never make videos against it. When have they ever made a video against fake disorder cringe? Which is, it's easy to criticize them. They're fucking terrible. Hell, I've made like, what, 7 videos now? I'm on like video 7 going on 8. It's really not that hard to criticize them. It says mental health is a huge challenge to a lot. It is, and she makes it sound like it's so super easy with just a few steps. Just think like her and you will be healed. It is very challenging. Thanks for being open about it. Hard for many to do so. And yes, that is true. She talks about these things as if there's a simple way to present it, a simple way to interpret it, and a simple way to fix it. And it's like, just shut up. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, every single step of what you addressed is 10 times more complicated, at least, than what you're painting it to be. Watch the mental health series with Oompaville and got here. It is not a shock that he made dumb decisions. He spends more money trying to impress people than he makes. This girl's clueless and is doing more harm than good. And you talk about how the Candyman scammed himself. Because he had obvious red flags not to go along with that guy, and he did it anyway. I think the guy said he was going to invest everything into Bitcoin. He was just like, yep, sounds legit to me. Says shame he continues down the stupid route on the dumbass train. Oh my god. Yeah, he still makes those videos. Like, they all do it. They're like, time to react to TikTok cringe. And what's even sadder is there are things that you can say. Like, you can criticize. Everything can be criticized. You can criticize people who misinterpret stuff. But that's not what they're doing. They're just making fun of people who, for the most part, are making mistakes. And even the people who aren't, even the people who, the very few who actually are scammers and liars and stuff, the way that they criticize them hurts the people who actually have disorders, because you'll say XYZ means you are faking when real people with real disorders do the same thing. So now you're deeming real symptoms as fake to call it a faker. I'd rather not you call out any fakers then, because you're creating a stigma for the fucking disorder. Anyway, it says, wait, did she say she had thoughts that made her think she was dying, but judging people for talking about their symptoms and have to be faking if they perhaps feel the same? Not her mental health is more important than anyone on TikTok move. I had symptoms where I actually think that I'm dying. Like, the way she said it, I was so annoyed. I think I'm dying. I feel the tightness in my throat. Okay, some of us actually go into anaphylactic shock. Like, you're describing it like you're the only person who's ever been in anaphylactic shock before. And you're like, I actually believed it though. I actually believed that I was, but you're not. You're not. Your brain thought so, and so you started to have similar symptoms, and you can't understand how the brain can convince people, while talking about the placebo effect, by the way, you can't understand how the brain can just convince people they have things that they don't. You can't say they're saying that they have these disorders for social currency and say that they're under the placebo effect, Gabby. You can't do that. Anyway, it says some people feel entitled, and it's a shame because it silences others inadvertently. Yep. Part 2 of this should be interesting. I mean, it's out now because I made this video so late, but you know. It says, I don't think this girl has a clue about mental health, including her own. She said she thought she was dying and then turns around and says she has anxiety, but it was somehow wrong to have those thoughts. I'm offended she thought no one would catch that. Because in her head, that's not the same thing. And you said, looking forward to part 2 for sure. Keep it Kurena. Thank you. Part 2 is definitely the more intense one. That's usually how it goes. When I split it up into 2 parts, it's because one part is like me like getting into the video, like feeling it out, or it's very information heavy or something like that. It's like calmer. But if there's a part of the video where like I'm kind of like fed up, then I'll split it and leave the fed up portion for like its own video because it's like a tone shift, you know, and it can be like jarring for some people. So I rather split it up personally. Plus it helps me, but that's like a whole other conversation. I don't feel like having right now. This video is going to be hella long anyway. It says, go to a therapist is an entitled mindset. What if some people cannot afford to go to the doctor or have access? What if they have a doctor, but they are not that versed in their specific condition, or they are misdiagnosed? I wanted to say more, but I will wait my time and see what else you will say. Good video, Kurena Fujio. I want to say, first of all, thank you for waiting. I really appreciate it when people do that. Like if you know that I split the video into 2 parts, I appreciate you not addressing the part that I haven't showed yet because it's not part of my video, and I might address that. It gives me a chance to like say what I have to say. So I really do appreciate that because not everybody thinks about that. So it's very nice of you. And also, she was actually heavily criticized for that. The one thing people criticized her for was that because that was how she started off her video. Go to a licensed therapist. So people would just pause the video and just comment immediately. And so she was like, I understand that, you know, it's hard for some people depending on where they live. But the rest of the video she stood by, so I don't give a fuck. That's how I feel. It says, of course it's Gabby. Never liked her, especially ever since her take on React content and her spreading lies about Dark Viper AU. I have no idea who that person is, so, you know. She's the type of toxic person who unironically thinks with her fame and power. The funny thing is, she had that toxic mentality before she had any fame or power. Like, that's what's so crazy to me. Like, she felt so entitled to talk about the issue. It makes me wonder what her motivation was. Because, you know, some of these YouTubers work with other YouTubers. So I'm just saying, I wonder what made her so confident in the subject. It says, she can get anything she wants by influencing others. I mean, she definitely thinks it now because she went viral. It says, that's so sad to find out. Funny part is she is neither famous, she still isn't famous or powerful. That is funny. She's YouTube famous, and not even that. I mean, she's still not, you know. She's known on YouTube. But yeah, it says, just probably bought tons of subs. I hope the person she came for is okay and hope they have support after what she did. A lot of people have come for Dissociate did. I'm coming to find out. You know, Ablaze has done it. Gabby's done it. Fake Disorder Cringe attacks her all the time. And those other poor people in those TikToks are being spread around by Fake Disorder Cringe and other subreddits, but mostly them. So yeah, I hope that they're okay, but the road is not over because it's very popular to make that kind of content. The video was triggering. It is difficult suffering with a mental health condition and have someone be so damned entitled to everyone else's feelings on their experimental. I might have actually read this comment already. Some of you guys will comment on like 2 different accounts if you don't see your comment pop up. So yeah, I think I read this one already. And that's the end of this folder. Yeah, and I will say what Gabby did is trend culture. I need to talk about trend culture more in my videos. It's just a new concept that I realized. So it's not always on my mind when I'm like in the heat of reacting to these YouTubers. I'm mostly more so just focused on comparing and contrasting what they say because there's so many contradictions. I'm trying to like connect them all in real time. But I do need to point out trend culture more and examples of internet grooming because people are still confused about that topic. And yeah, so I'll try to keep it in mind going forward, but it may take me some time to remember to like bring it up when I see it in real time. If not, then I could always go back and make some videos, or like make a video going back to these videos and show examples. I don't know, I'll figure it out. These were just a couple of supportive comments you guys left. You said you go against the grain and think Gabby will just buy more views. Keep it Kurena. Again, like a lot of people said that about her. Now, there may be some evidence out there that she bought views. I don't know. But yeah, I just find it interesting. A lot of YouTubers do it though. So, hey, this is what I'm starting to find out. You said, oof, keep it Kurena. Says, dang, tell us how you feel for real. This one says, it's so refreshing to finally see someone calling out this stuff and it not be just jumping on a bandwagon. Yep, it's possible. People just don't want to do it. Should I read out the live chat? I guess I'll read out the live chat at the end. I think I've done that like every time, is read the live chat at the end, even though that's the first thing to come out. It's weird. There's like a bird chirping in the background. If you can hear it, just ignore it. So this folder is like mostly people talking about their mental health experiences or someone's mental health experience in comparison to the video. It says, ironically enough, I want to say, thank you for saying this, and I mean it. Well, I don't get the irony, but maybe it'll be in there, I don't know. It says, because I'm tired of people like her and the other guy making other people think I'm faking because I'm not, quote, autistic enough. It's also very funny to me how they say this isn't a symptom of autism/ADHD because it happens to everyone, because they're basically doing the same thing they're accusing TikTokers of doing, but the other way around. As an aside, I'm on my second day of ADHD medication. I have been denying that I may have the disorder, but my psychiatrist straight up stopped me while I was talking and said, that's ADHD. The medication can help, because she saw how much I was struggling with daily life. I'm hoping it will help, but I'll have to wait and see how I react to the meds. So to me, her video was more harmful than the TikTok she's talking about, because everyone around me keeps telling me it's, quote, normal to not be able to focus, when in reality, I struggle with this so much more. Like, that's another thing. She kept saying a lot of people have trouble focusing. And it's like, yes, but the point is, if you have more trouble than the average person, then that could be a symptom. Or if you struggle in a different way than other people. Like, the part that most people think doesn't need to be said out loud is, well, yeah, unless you're having trouble focusing like a normal person does. But for people like Gabby, who lack common sense, you have to specify that. It says, thanks for the video and keep it Kurena. I hope the medication helps. If it doesn't, they probably have other ones that they'll give you. I've taken multiple. None of them has helped me so far. So yeah. But there's other methods too. Hopefully you find a solution. Yeah, you're not alone in that at all. Plenty of people have been in denial of their own disorders. I know, shocker. People think that we're all just ready to jump and say that we're mentally ill. I myself was in denial of having Tourette's my entire life. Like, I genuinely thought that I did not have it. And instead I thought I was crazy, because I was like, well, it's not that. So, you know, I guess I'm just crazy. And it took my whole life to finally be like, oh, that's why I keep doing all the things that they do, because I have it. So I completely understand. It says, nonsense. People are saying you shouldn't self-diagnose, and all pissy at people she shows. The problem is none of them said they self-diagnosed. They all said they were diagnosed or got their diagnosis later than most would, mainly because it's male-dominated research. I think the girl who said the more you know didn't mention getting diagnosed. I could be wrong. I'd have to go back and look. But she was explaining information that she did research on. So regardless, she was informing on the diagnosis. She wasn't fake claiming, as they want to insinuate, or anything. She was just giving information. And Dissociate has made it clear she's been diagnosed. And that other girl said that she was diagnosed. Even if they did self-diagnose, so what? That's why my doctor gives out journals for me to self-diagnose my symptoms, to help him fully diagnose me. Like, there are so many overlapping symptoms, like symptoms that overlap with other disorders, where yes, the only reason why I got diagnosed with ADHD is because I said I think I have it. If I hadn't have said it because I'm a woman, they wouldn't have thought that I had it, because a lot of the symptoms they look for are male oriented, because that's what they did the research on. They don't know what to look for in girls. It says, thank you for being the only voice on YouTube to talk about this stuff. She used a friend of mine that got real hurt in another video Gabby made. She had mental health condition and no one else has the right to. I don't fully understand the context, but I am sorry that your friend was hurt by the content that Gabby made. I've had a few people tell me that their friends or family members have been hurt by people like her Oompaville, so hopefully she'll be okay. But yeah, they don't think about the fact that these are real people's lives that they're affecting. They just look at them through a computer screen because YouTubers love to say the internet isn't real life. Then who the fuck are you talking about in your videos? Simulations? Like, what? It says, thank you for saying what I always wanted to say, but fear getting attacked for it in Gabby's comments. Some douche tried to tell me that my symptoms were wrong. And you said to them, that's unfortunate. Your symptoms can only be expressed by the person experiencing them. Yeah, that's a douche move for sure. We don't do that mess over here. Yeah, they're quick to say that. Like, I remember one of you guys were commenting in Gabby's comments. Like, I came across the comment and somebody accused you of being a TikToker when you're a medical professional. The exact opposite of what they're saying. They're like, ah, yeah, you must be some TikToker. That's what they assume. If you have anything to say, they're like, oh, you just want attention. You're a kid. You're a TikToker. Again, not realizing that the narrative that these YouTubers are painting is polar opposite to what medical professionals are saying, which I showed myself in the Oompaville video. The medical professional himself said, why is it so important to you to point this shit out? He didn't say it just like that, but you know. That's what he said. This is just a random comment. I didn't put this in a particular folder. It says, the thumbnail is like a whodunit type feel. This one for sure will get my coworkers talking. That was you teaching trends. I'm pretty sure you're talking about this thumbnail because I like to put up like an anonymous thumbnail for the first like half of the week or like majority of the week until the video's about to go live, and then I switch it to the actual thumbnail. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'll keep doing that. We'll see. And then this folder is about people talking about just symptoms in general. It says, I don't understand how people think they are an authority. I used to think I had mental health condition and was misdiagnosed, which is exactly what the fuck I'm saying. A lot of people think they have a certain mental disorder, and it's easy to think that with somebody depending on how they answer the questions or how they present themselves or whatever. It's a very easy thing to misdiagnose someone with. Like, you can easily be misdiagnosed. I don't know why they never think about that. And again, kids cannot see professionals a lot of the times without the permission of a parent. So yeah, they do have to self-diagnose because they're too young to get a professional diagnosis. Miss Gabby, who's saying, go see a licensed professional. They can't. It says, I was running around telling people since I had my bipolar for 12 years that I knew the symptoms. I would judge and even challenge people. Then I found I had a learning disability and did not have bipolar disorder. So she could be wrong if misdiagnosed, and Gabby out here spouting out everyone's conditions as facts. Super annoying. Thanks, Kurena, for making these points. Thank you too. Again, she's just speaking as an authority when she's not, just like you said. The reason why they think that they're an authority on it is because I would say they think that they're an authority because they want to be one. Like, I kind of think it's reversed or whatever. It's kind of like they inject themselves as an authority, and because they're speaking on an issue that they've seen the internet mostly favor in that direction, which is to make fun of people who are mentally ill and trying to speak out with it, calling them fakers and stuff. They know that that's the trendy thing to say. So they say, well, I'll be an authority on this and give power to this perspective, so boost me in the algorithm, you know, and I'll make more content to entertain all these people. It's like they see people who are out for blood and then they slaughter a lamb and feed it to them, you know, and that's what makes them an authority, because people keep coming back for more blood. Does that make sense? So you said, first off, thanks for sharing. I used to think my mental health condition was similar to others. I would start saying things like, doesn't it suck when so-and-so happens? And many times people would look at me oddly. I've had the same fucking thing happen to me. I realize this because it's a spectrum. No one will ever be the same. The reason we need to hear everyone out. Yeah, like with neurodivergency, there's a lot of different people on the spectrum of neurodivergency, and that's not the same as being autistic. I've had a couple people in my comments like saying to me that they think I'm autistic. Some people very heavily trying to say that I'm autistic, and they're like, but you have these symptoms and stuff. You can have overlapping symptoms because that is a form of neurodivergency. But just because someone's neurodivergent doesn't mean that they're autistic. So if I think I have a wheel that shows all the symptoms, so I'll post it here for anyone who wants to know. But this is the spectrum of neurodivergency. So, people say, but you do this and you do that, but you do this and you do that. And it's like, it's a surface level interpretation. You have to look at the nuances of the symptoms to understand if that's an autistic symptom or if that's a symptom of ADHD or if that's a symptom of Tourette's or this or this or that. They're different things. Someone could be stimming because they're autistic, and the way that they stim looks very similar to someone with Tourette's. The same can go with verbal cues and, certain reactions to certain environments. It can look like one disorder when it's actually another. That's why we have professionals, because it's their job to understand the nuances. Unlike people like Gabby, which is why you've heard me say, and you'll keep hearing me say in my videos, this could also be a symptom, that could be a symptom, it presents in this way, it could also be presented in this way, this is actually normal for this case, etc., because those are the nuances of the symptoms that they keep speaking on when they look at it as a surface level thing. So yeah, you may think that what you're doing is normal, or you may think that it's one way, but then everybody looks at you like you're weird because they're not actually doing what you're doing. It says, never thought of this side of things, people having a diagnosis and thinking your symptoms were one thing, but turned out to be another, like I just said. It says, thanks for the share on that. And I said, they think, therefore they are. They make themselves an authority because they know the bandwagon will back them up and get them stance. I phrased this so much simpler, but maybe it was a good thing I gave the example of the lambs and the slaughter thing, because I'm just trying to find a way to explain that they're not an authority, but they make themselves one. And I said, thank you for sharing your experience. What you said is very true. I also want to point out, I like responding to comments, but going forward, I might respond less if I do more of these reply videos. I don't know, because it gets a little bit confusing. It's like I have to think twice on every comment. So I don't know, we'll see, but I'll still respond. It's just, I usually respond to every comment that I get, even weeks after it comes out. I might not do that anymore if I plan to do a video anyway. We'll see. So if you see me not respond to yours and you had a lot of important stuff to say, maybe I'm saving what I want to say for a video instead of having to give a long detailed response. So yeah, I don't know, I might still do both. We'll see. But just know, if I respond to the people around you whose comments are shorter and yours is long and thought-provoking, not because I don't want to say anything, but I might put in a video instead. It says, the people who work on the field have the right to speak on how it is and not what some entitled privileged YouTuber thinks. It says, true, YouTube is toxic. This one says, I hate when people say collecting mental illnesses like Pokemon cards. She's not the first person to have said that. In reference to someone else, I make that joke with myself and learning disabilities. That's where they took it from. It says, because when I was 9-ish years old, I was diagnosed with autism, dyslexia, and a whole bundle of related conditions. Can't write or count properly. I do not know the English names for those. And now when I'm 19, I face potential ADHD diagnosis on top of all of that. Something that it's a trend people don't get is the fact that it's not the majority in real life. I went to a normal school. Most of my friends were visibly autistic, but most of the class really wasn't. What they also don't get is that, for one, faking a bunch of disorders is in itself a disordered behavior. I'll get back to that in a minute. They said one of my friends faked everything under the sun at 13. Turned out to have been bipolar. And so that's the other thing, because they keep wanting to say, well, these people are scammers or scammers or scammers. And it's just again, if to catch one scammer you have to stigmatize an entire disorder, I'd rather you not, because you don't have to do that. Honestly, you can call out a scammer without having to misrepresent an entire fucking disorder. But you know what it takes to do that? Time, effort, care, and consideration, all of which these YouTubers are lacking. So just don't bother. It's the shittiest fucking detective in the world. Don't want to see them solve a crime? If you create a witch hunt for a bunch of innocent people to catch one criminal, was it really worth it? Was it really worth it? It says, and for 2, just because I make light of having a lot of things doesn't mean that I think that being unable to read is cool or funny. Here's the thing. I don't care either way. I really don't care if people think mental disorders are cool or fun. I'd rather have people think they're cool and fun than think that they should stigmatize people who have them. Isn't that better than the other? Like, we can work on that. If society gets to that point where they think disorders are cool and fun, we can work on that. But at least you're accepted at that point. It's literally a step up. So they don't even want to do that. The end goal is supposed to be that people just accept it for what it is. Have a better understanding, take it for what it is, and treat it accordingly, which is a lot of nuance in circumstantial situations and stuff like that. That's a lot of hard work for people. It's not very simple and straightforward. So if we're gonna pick a straightforward reality, I'd rather have the reality where people are seen as cool and fun before being seen as weird and outcast and something that should be shamed. And if you don't think so, there's something wrong with you. It says, okay, maybe the fact that I am the worst at the language I went to school in, read and wrote all my assignments in, had all my exams in and more, but best at the language I had no native speaker communication in for 19 years of my life is objectively hilarious, but in the most miserable, pathetic, and debilitating way possible. And I completely understand how you feel. And another thing is people have different forms of humor. Some people like dark humor and stuff, and some people can't fucking stand it. Like, I drew this picture on my art channel, which I have not been drawn over there for so long. I haven't drawn in like God knows how long. But I drew this picture, I put it up on Facebook in this like art group, and people lost their fucking minds. Like, some people liked it, it was inspiring, it made them feel good, but there were plenty of people who literally got triggered. Like, they were yelling about the drawing and saying, you need to draw something happy. And plenty of people had to explain to them, these type of pictures make me feel better when I draw them. They make me happy. I like doing this, you know? And I wasn't even saying it. They were saying it for me. And then, you know, people were just like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And some people are just like, I've been through things and this triggers me and it's triggering. It's like some people literally just can't handle negativity. So I say that because when they see someone make a joke about their own mental disorder, they're like, I can't believe that you were joking about something. So I'm just supposed to wallow in sorrow? Like, the fuck? Leave me alone. If you don't like it, it's content online. Do not consume it if you don't fucking like it. If it's largely helping the people who it was fucking made for. You're personally offended at a drawing. You're personally offended at somebody making a joke about their own disorder. Move on. It has nothing to do with you. It's not like your name was plastered in the video or on the picture. It says the whole fake disorder cringe concept is almost the same as mocking young people for having physical issues typically associated with middle-aged people. Like, cool, you don't believe that this person has a joint issue. Are you their doctor? Have you seen their x-rays? Does it take away from your life that they use mobility aids? And you said, OMG this. As a medical professional, I just want to thank you for having the voice in this space of YouTube to express how you feel. I hear you, see you, and appreciate you telling your journey, one of which is never heard or hardly as often as we need to properly diagnose. And again, it's so important. It's so important for you guys to share your experiences. And I said it before and I'll say it again. There is a place to criticize some of this content. A lot of it is just like ridiculous. People should move on. But there are some aspects of this content that can be criticized. They're not doing that though. They're just making fun of people for largely being themselves or exploring their mental state, exploring psychology. That's not the right way to go about this type of thing. There's a lot of misconceptions online and you can criticize that, but they're not doing that. And it's like, maybe one day I'll talk about the other side of mental health TikTok. But for now, there's just so much fucking content that, you know, there's so many people already talking about it. I'd rather talk about the larger issue, which is the people creating a fucking mental health crisis, before I ever talk about the other side of mental illness. Because for the most part, it's not actually harmful. The harm is the people creating a mental health stigma. You continued in the next screenshot. You said the comparison to AIDS for elderly was perfect comparison, and I want to thank you for your insight. You have helped me as an educator and researcher. Thank you so much for the validation in your friend with faking symptoms, as typically most often is a sign on an underlying undiagnosed condition. Thanks so very much for this. Voices like yours are paramount, aiding those videos and understanding all of the nuances in mental health. Value and appreciate your perspective. Like, I never see these YouTubers talk about people presenting a mental disorder in a way that's not typical but still valid. They never talk about that, even though unless it's their own disorder, by the way. That's the only time I see it. Gabby, Oompaville, Ablaze, they'll only talk about their mental disorder being different from everyone else. But if someone else is saying my mental disorder is different from everyone else, they're like, you're faking, you want attention, oh, you think you're so special? What if you don't actually have it? You could just have this other stereotypical version of it. It's just like, okay. Says, thanks for your open and informative comment. And I said what she did was beyond just watering down their experiences. She outright lied and contradicted herself at the expense of mentally ill people. Thank you for pushing back and sharing your experience. You said ADHD TikTok has been very helpful for finding new strategies to manage my symptoms from people who experience similar things. Exactly the same thing with me. Made me understand my disorder way more than any professional did. This says ADHD has 5 major categories: behavior, anxiety/depression, increased injuries, peer issues, and learning disorders. You are right, not one case is the same. Yeah, because all those different aspects present differently and for different reasons, and all those different aspects can be intensified by different triggers for different people. Anyway, is that the last folder? Yes. So this was the live chat. I'm just going to read these out and then we can move on. It says, normalizing it makes people want to get care. This video makes people want to not seek care. She is infuriating. No, it makes me feel normalized. I have OCD. And you were saying this because Gabby was talking about how people would make jokes saying, oh, you know, my OCD is acting up. My OCD. And I'm sure that made a lot of people with OCD feel like shit. And you're sitting here saying, no, it makes me feel normalized. I have OCD. And that's what I was thinking. So I'm happy you confirmed that. But when someone says my OCD is acting up, from my own personal experience, I can't speak for everyone else, and it seems like your experience as someone with OCD is the same as mine. I've never seen somebody say, yeah, my OCD is acting up. Aren't people with OCD weird and stupid? It's never been said in that fucking context. It's always been, oh yeah, I'm just kind of OCD about this. This is like my OCD or whatever, you know, like basically saying, I know that I'm very particular about this thing, but it's just me personally. Please forgive me. Like, that's kind of how people say it, is to say, accept the fact that this is how I personally feel about this thing. It's not affecting you, so just allow me to be particular about this thing, which normalizes OCD. If you paint OCD in the sense of we just have our quirks, we just have the way that we personally want things to look or be, wouldn't that make people a little bit more accepting to people who actually do have OCD? If normal people use it that way who don't have it, that makes it more accepting for people who do have it. I also have been told by my neurologist that I do have OCD tendencies, so I might have OCD. So I can't particularly speak for one side or the other because I don't know if I have OCD or not. There's a good chance that I do, but I just know from personal experience that I always said in a way of acceptance, not in a way of rejecting myself. It doesn't make sense. So if you want things to look a certain way, if you're like Caleb and need to brush your teeth for exactly 2 minutes and someone's like, well, why have you been in the bathroom for like 15 minutes brushing your teeth? It's like, well, I had to keep starting over because I kept going over the time limit. Like, well, people would see that as okay in the context of, well, my OCD is acting up. This is my OCD. I'm like, how is that not? How is it stigmatized OCD to say that? Anyway, he said, I really wish more people just took a step back before making these types of videos and asked, am I doing this because it's a trend or do I actually care? They're never going to ask that question because they're doing it because it's a trend. If those videos didn't get them any views or subs, they would stop making them. Like, not even if people were mad at them. If no one cared, if nobody watched that content, they wouldn't talk about it. So the root of it is because it's trending. But when it comes to them caring, the most that they care is out of spite. So I don't even care if they care. And I get where you're coming from. But I really don't give a fuck if they care about it. Because their version of care is that they have spite towards these fucking people. Or a vendetta or an agenda or whatever. So fuck their care. You said, when I can joke about it, this makes me feel normal. How does she know? Does she have OCD? OMG. And no, she does not, according to herself. She said it makes people with OCD OCD feel like shit. She herself doesn't fucking have it. She's not considered as possibly having it or anything like that. She doesn't fucking have it. She has anxiety and a survivor of depression. That's her story. You know she would have fucking said she had OCD if she did. Not talk about others with OCD if she had it. This says she is selfish and it's all about her own condition, is serious, and others is not so much because they aren't privileged enough. At least that's what I heard. This was you reacting in real time to what she was saying, because it's how she fucking painted it. I said her therapist said their biggest need is to belong, and she titles it Using Mental Illness for TikTok Clout. Like, that's what pissed me off. Like, her therapist, in her own video, she's saying that her therapist said, she was like, as per my therapist, people just want to belong. So then why'd you title it that? Why would you say they use it for clout? Wouldn't your therapist have told you they're using it for clout if that was the case? Wouldn't your therapist have said that they want it for social currency if that was the case? Why didn't you quote more of what your therapist said and make that the video? Because that's the professional, asshole. Talking about sources, why don't you use your therapist as a source? It says the list on the screen is that person's experience, and she can't say they are wrong if it's their experience. Exactly. They're saying that they're experiencing ADHD in this way, and they're saying that a lot of women experience ADHD in this way. It says, sounds to me like she says, quote, people need community, but don't use keywords in your bio related to the community you're looking for. Exactly. Like, I don't even do that. Like, I've never put in my bio that I have Tourette's or whatever, but legit, I would if I ever did want community, because you guys know my views on community and stuff at this point personally. But like, if I ever did want to seek community, it would be people who had coprolalia like me, because I've never seen someone tick the way that I do. So I don't feel comfortable ticking around people because mine are very abnormal. But I wish I could find people who ticked like I do, because then I wouldn't feel as crazy. Again, my whole life, I just thought that I was crazy because I've never seen ticks like mine. So yeah, that would be the reason. I can speak from personal experience. That's the reason why people want to seek community, so that they feel more normal, or they can understand someone else's experience more to understand their own, expand on it, maybe heal in the way other people have. It's beneficial. And that's what professionals tell you to do, to find like-minded people, to seek community, to speak out, you know, seek help. You said, I have ADHD and I cannot relate to her at all. Yeah, because she didn't make any relatable statements for people who are struggling. You said, I guess the perfect way to mislead and gaslight a community that may be suffering and unknowingly support a hypocrite. Yep. Let's celebrate their first super. Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, because you were the first. This was your first super on my premiere, but it's also the first super I ever got on a premiere. So thank you. Seriously over it, and I really appreciate you supporting my content. So that was all of the folders. It's like my throat hurts a little bit reading all this stuff, so I don't really want to do part 5 and 6 in the same video, because part 6 is like a million more comments. Like, because part 6 I think is the longer video too. I'm just clicking through and checking. Yeah, part 6 is way more comments. Part 6 will probably be twice as long as this one, part 5. So I'm gonna put them in 2 separate videos. I just haven't been doing this because it's the silliest thing. I'm stuck on the thumbnails. I don't want to do the thumbnails I've been doing. So I'm going to experiment with this thumbnail and try something different. It's also just been a lot of comments that I had to archive that I hadn't gotten to. So that was another reason. Maybe I won't read every comment that I have stored. I don't know, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys. Let me know what you guys think. I know that this is a very overwhelming series. It's nice to have these little breaks here and there where we just look at the responses that people have towards the content and the topics. So thanks again for watching. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for commenting, liking, sharing my videos, and I will see you all next time.